Filmmaker Michael Moore is not one to hold back when it comes to capitalism, corporate America, and now the movement to occupy Wall Street. He joins us this morning from outside the NYSE. Michael, good morning. Good to have you on the program.
Well, actually, we're not outside the New York Stock Exchange. You have moved me down here onto Broadway so that apparently you've been told, or you're not allowed to have me there in front of the... You know, when I've interviewed with you in the past, you've tried to actually bring me into your studio at the Stock Exchange, and the Stock Exchange will not allow me inside the building to be interviewed by members of the press, meaning you. And so the last two interviews we've done in the last few years
have been outside.
Done out on the street here. Yeah, we've done them outside in front of the Stock Exchange. Now we've been moved down to Broadway here, and...
Why do you think that is? Because I did ask around this morning. I could not get a straight answer as to why we couldn't have you here sitting next to me, which is what I would prefer. Have you done something in the past to annoy the NYPD, the big board? Why don't you think you're being let in?
Let me think about that for a second. I think they probably don't want me to come inside the New York Stock Exchange and be critical of this unjust and unfair economic system that we have that benefits the wealthiest few at the expense of the many. And it's too bad that they're that afraid of a guy in a ball cap with a high school education coming in there to say that. It's like, you know, don't worry, guys, capitalism isn't going to crumble today. If I walk inside the stock exchange right now, sit down with you and have a civil conversation, not breaking any laws, let's just talk about where we're at, how we got here. And my question, I guess, would be to the stock exchange: what are you afraid of? Don't be afraid of me. I'm not who you need to worry about. You need to worry about the millions who have lost their jobs. You need to worry about the people who've lost their health care. You need to worry about the 99% who are quite angry.
There is a dress code, so you'd have to lose the hat, and you can't wear jeans. You'd be willing to do that, right?
I would be willing to dress up.
Okay.
Yes, if they will let me in to talk to you, I will alter my appearance for that.
Well,
yes.
I would love
Plus,
to help
I don't really need
that
this hat anyways because I've got hair. I don't even know why I'm wearing a hat.
Michael, you told Lawrence O'Donnell the other night about Occupy. You said, "We are there until we get justice," which for you would mean, a quote, a perp walk for bankers who tank the economy and flush the American dream down the toilet. Is that the extent of the goal? Is there nothing larger from a policy perspective that you're aspiring to?
No, that is one small part of it. The fact that there's already been over 1,000 people here in New York arrested because they're standing up against this greed. They've been arrested. There really hasn't been a single arrest here on this street with these banks. Not one of them have met justice. They haven't even really been investigated. Where's the special prosecutor? Why the people who caused this crash? Don't the American people deserve some answers and some justice? Where did their money go? Who stole this money? Or who misappropriated or played with it in a wrong? That's really the question. So, and then there's all the larger issues. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that everybody down at Occupy Wall Street are concerned about. They want the wealthy to be taxed more. They want Glass-Steagall reinstated. We want to get money out of politics. And there's a whole list of things. If you go to the Occupy Wall Street NYC.org website, you can. When people say they don't know what do they want, well, it's all there. It's quite a list of things of what people want.
But a number of the things you mentioned, SEC regulation and enforcement, Glass-Steagall, those are government policies, and I'm wondering why the locus of the protest is not in Washington, but in New York. Wasn't a lot of the problem driven by government, and bankers were just doing whatever bankers would be allowed to do at the end of the day?
Yes, and what bankers do good is buy politicians. The reason why this protest isn't centered in Washington is because those are just the employees of this street. So people are here because this is the center. This is the core of the problem. The politicians, that's going to take care of itself once we get money out of politics. But we're wasting our time down there because They don't listen to the people. They only listen to who's lining their pockets, and those people happen to be right down this street.
Is the movement the summation of what you've worked on your career? Is this how you think? Is this what you've been working for your entire life? And I'm wondering if you consider yourself the voice of the movement at this point.
Oh, no, I am not that. I am one of millions of voices. This movement has no spokesperson, no leader. That's what's really great about it. It's that there's a million leaders and there's a million spokespeople. You go down to Zuccotti Park, you go to any of the Occupies around the country. These are all people who have a story to tell. And I'm just one of those people. For me personally, this is really, I'm heartened by what I've seen in this moment, that so many people have risen up. I've been making these movies for over 20 years about corporate America, starting with my film about General Motors. I've worked at this my entire adult life. Yeah. So to see this happen, yes, I'm overjoyed, to say the least.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad we made it happen at least this way, and I can only imagine the scene you've created on that sidewalk. That's what happens wherever you go.
Well, that's only because everybody here. I mean, you look around here. There are students here who are going to have to go out into the world with crushing debt that they're not going to get out of until their 40s. You've got people here whose homes are underwater. You've got, we have 46 million people in this country living in poverty. That's a disgrace. If we're proud of this country, we need to build a much better country, a much more equitable and fair country. And right now, when you've got the 400 wealthiest Americans have more combined wealth than 150 million Americans combined, that is not a free and open and democratic society. Yeah. And that's not an economy that's run by the people. So that has to change. People are upset about it. And I just hope next time they'll let me in the building so I can talk to you in person, or even just let me down the street here. And in fact, I'm going to go down the street right now anyways and stand there in front of the stock exchange. And I'll talk to these people if they want to come down there with me. Everybody's got an iPhone.
All right, good. You're buying lunch.
So we can do our own interviews, right? Yeah. We don't need the satellite truck or the NYSE.
Before we let you go, Dow's up 95. That's what we cover on this network. Do you own any equities, any stock? Do you own shares of any bank in the world or in the U.S.?
Nope. I do not own a single share of stock, and I have never owned a single share of stock. I don't support this. This is a rigged casino. I don't know why anybody would put their hard-earned money into this, especially after what happened in this last decade, where these guys on this street played with people's futures, played with people's pension funds, with these derivatives and credit default swaps. No regulation from D.C. And it's still going on. It's still going on. And if I could just very respectfully ask you and CNBC, you are in there. You are journalists. It is your job not just to report that the Dow is up 95 points already today, but to go in there and find out what's really happening. Who's making this money? Who's dividing this pie up so that the 1% get the majority of it? That's really the story. That's the story your fellow Americans want you to do.
Absolutely.
They want to know where their jobs went. They want to know, where their future's going to be. That's the job of CNBC.
Yes.
So please do your job, please.
And we do, and we look out for the 45% of Americans who have 401ks. And although you might not be interested that the Dow's up 92, a large part of the country, a large part of middle-class Americans do care, Michael. You do know that, right?
They care. Well, yeah, but if you want to, are we going to talk about that? Because the middle class's 401ks do not make up the bulk of where the wealth is. I mean, I would love to come back on and talk to you about a whole host of things about, when I hear people on the street here say, well, it's the 53% of us that pay taxes. They say that like look at us, that's a good thing. Well, what you're saying is if 47% aren't paying taxes, it means they're not working, or it means they're not at an income level. You're actually making the case for why our system is so messed up. When we have so many people who aren't paying taxes, the reason they're not paying taxes is because they're not working or their wages have been depleted to the point where they can barely survive in a middle-class life in this country.
It is amazing that in a country where, as the Times said over the weekend, we're obsessed about equality of opportunity, but not necessarily equality of condition. And that is a fair point that you're making. Michael, I can't wait to see
I'm not even sure the equality of opportunity is there now. I think that's something. This is what gets me about people who say they believe in capitalism. People here on this street, oh yeah, we're for free enterprise, we're for a competitive market. No, they're not. No, they're not. They want to destroy the competition. They want to merge or buy out the competition. They want to make it so that consumers and citizens have as few choices as possible. That's their nirvana, is a Soviet form of capitalism where they're the only ones in charge. So you know, the American people believe in competition and believe in everybody having a fair shot at it. There's no fair shot anymore. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're the next Steve Jobs, you've got the next invention, the next great idea today, go to your local bank and try and get a loan. Try and get a loan, because they're all sitting on the money down here. They won't loan the money to the small business person or the person that has that next thing that's going to advance the society. So it's a much longer discussion. I'm sorry I've taken so much of your time.
Right. And the data, there is data that would back you up on lending, other data that would conflict with that. But I can't wait to see you without the hat and in a suit at some point on this set. Michael, thanks for coming on.
I will do that. Just let me in the building. Don't be afraid, Stock Exchange. It's just me.
Michael, thank you for coming
I'm going to go down there now. I'm going down there.
Always good TV. You should see my email lighting up. Man, Michael Moore.